Rick, this is regrowth.
Yeah, this is all Mulga regrowth, Malcolm. We've been farming this area of regrowth for the last 25 or 30 years. It's been pulled several times. Last time we run a chain over this was during this drought in about 2014. And as you can see, when you run a chain over, the smaller stuff all just stands up again, and that's within reach of stock. And we've just had a shower of rain about a week ago, and as you can see, at least regenerating, and the cattle will come along and they'll live off all that fresh growth.
So this would have grown for 5 years, in 5 years, all drought.
Yep.
So it survives in the drought, it thrives in the drought.
This is our tree loosen, I call it, because it's just so efficient at surviving in dry times. As you'll notice, its leaves all point towards the sky. When it rains, the rain hits the leaf, runs down the leaf, down the stem, down the stalk here, down the trunk, and runs right down the trunk and forms a pool at the roots at the bottom. And so it starves everything else around it, but it gets a good drink. And nothing, the grass and that around it misses out in light rain, unless you get heavy enough rain that the total area gets wet. But if you get 30 points of showery in a shower, just a light shower, that'll catch the rain and it'll run it down its trunk and it'll absorb all that water into its roots. So it's a very efficient water user.
So what happens when you've got these plants getting bigger and they get into like little trees and they're woody weeds, then you've got a canopy, no light gets through to the grass. Yeah. So when you get heavy rain, it takes the soil with it. Yep. And that then clogs the rivers.
That's right, Malcolm.
And you lose your topsoil.
Well, if you don't keep knocking this back and knocking it down and farming it, you end up with a monoculture. As you can see, it's got quite thick here, and every time you run a chain over, it thins it out and it lets grass get back on the ground here, because originally this was all open grass country. And
before Europeans?
Before Europeans, before we stopped fires. Fires was the key thing, but we can't have massive fires coming through and wiping out fences and infrastructure now. If you had that sort of fire now, it'd wipe everything out. So the land's got to be managed in different ways. And if you get that monoculture of trees up here, there's nothing down here. So you get rain, Malcolm, all that just washes away into the river. You get erosion. The silt ends up in the river, it washes all the feces of the animals into the river. You get algae blooms. So you've got to keep this thinned down a bit and keep some grass cover on the ground, and then that filters everything out. But this is just such a prolific doer that you just can't get rid of it.